All right, welcome back, guys. So this is the midweek edition of the Pocket Change Market Report for March 27, 2025. We're going to dip into the last day or two of eBay sales for some of your favorite varieties and errors. All right, so you guys are pretty familiar with this particular stream that we do twice a week. I want to thank you guys for tuning in. Sure is a pleasure having all of your views and your support coming my way. So I'll just let you guys know I'm kind of battling the flu right now. So we're gonna plug right through this as quickly as possible. All right, so we're gonna try and do that for you guys. Quick little note that we'll probably not end up being live on Whatnot this week, but it's one of the fastest growing platforms that I'm glad to be a part of for live social media auctions, where you can be a buyer and seller at your own right. Coins, comics, sports cards, designer clothing and items, all sold on the platform. Now, traditionally, we're on every Friday night, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. If you haven't joined up, we have our QR code right on screen. Save $15 today on your first item, or if you don't want to use that, we have our accessible links down below in the description box and pinned in the comment section of this video. All right, thank you guys there. All right, we're just going to go ahead and jump right in. We'll keep it as brief as possibly. A lot of varieties this particular stream, more so than ever. 1941D Lincoln Wheat Cent, first one up here. So again, a lot of the coins that we do cover are ungraded. If you can absolutely avoid grading, you're going to save yourself a lot more money. Grading doesn't necessarily mean that your coin's going to be worth more in the long run. They certainly sell for themselves if you have the right item, for sure. So this one right here is a really nice Repunched mint mark. Prior to 1989, you guys know that mint employees were hammering in the mint marks into the working dies. So there's a lot of room for error here on these. There you go. This is RPM number 7. And apparently it's also a dual variety. It's the DDR number 3, showing a little bit of doubling on the reverse as well. Nothing too crazy, but the repunchment mark is the more noticeable one here. So the secondary Denver mid mark is punched west of the primary, so that an employee tapped it in once, didn't quite like the look or position of where it's at, re-tapped it in slightly to the right there. This coin sold for $33.90. All right, repunchment marks. Again, look at a lot of your Lincoln cents and a few other coins prior to 1989, and you'll have your best shot at looking for these. It's a very common event, but some of the more radical ones sell for more money. We also cover a little bit of paper money. Here's 1981 $10 bill with a gutter fold. So the gutter fold is something that occurs when there is a wrinkle in the sheet prior to the print. So the gutter you can see all the way on the left-hand side there, almost to the very end. It's a nice wide gutter as well. Usually we see them a lot skinnier than that. But yeah, very nice crispy looking note here. Gutter showing also on the reverse, showing that the fold was not stretched out at all during the printing process here. This one sold for $119.99. Again, people will look at this and think to themselves, oh, we got to grade it. That's simply not the case here. We also see quite a few off-center struck coins, Washington quarters especially, during the 80s and 90s. Now, a lot of people are buying these to collect like decade sets and things like that, so it's a pretty neat little compilation there, and still holds true today. 1995D, Washington quarter. This is a date that we don't commonly see. A lot of the Denver minted coins of the 90s are really quite scarce for off-center strikes. This one is off-center by about 50%. Very attractive coin. Nice high grade here as well. Kind of a staggering sum of cash on this one. $149.51 was the final sale price on this particular example. So 2023 Lincoln Shield sets. You can find the Extra V, I guess variety is what they call it. And these are gradable by all of the big grading companies like PCGS and NGC. And, you know, for the last couple years, they've been sold as singular coins, raw and graded, you know, with varying degrees of success for its sellers. Here's a gentleman that is selling a full roll of raw 2023 Philly Extra V Lincolns. Completely up to you if you want to buy it with the prospect of reselling them. However, I can tell you that he sold it for $554.84, coming in at right around $11 per coin, which is actually not too bad, considering that the average market is right around $18 to $20 per coin. So if you open this roll up and you find some really nice gem examples, you know, you can either send them off to graders or resell them and, you know, possibly sell those for about, you know, like $30, give or take. But for those of you that are finding a whole bunch of these on the East Coast and you just don't want to deal with them, want to let you know that you can roll them up, sell it as a full roll, and then, you know, hit a big old, you know, chunk of cash from your sale. We have a few here. These, I guess, are from a seller called Cayman Coins, who's been selling on the platform for quite a while. 1982 large date copper with what we call a ragged clip is what you see there on the right. So this is like an end of strip kind of piece here, planchet-wise. And then it was struck, as you can see, showing a nice fissure there, right there. This particular one sold for $15.50 with 6 total bids there. Cayman also had this beautiful 1970D. And this one right here is off-center by about almost 50%, as you can see. And the coin's in really nice condition, too. Looks like that 2 coins were butted up against each other, and that's why you have that flat area on the off-center portion of it. Which is quite cool. This particular example sold for $36.09 with 11 total bids. We also have this other 1970, this time a Philadelphia Lincoln Memorial, off-center by a little bit, 10%-ish, somewhere around there. Nice, attractive coin, and this one sold for $35 with 15 bids. Nice, tough date here. Another 1964 Lincoln Memorial cent that was struck on a ragged planchet, a ragged clip, ragged straight clip, I guess you could call this one. But there you go, yeah. Can't believe this thing had circulated as much as it did before a collector found it. Sold for $17.48 with 11 bids. Breaking up a little bit of action here with this Morgan dollar. You know, be sure you look at your old silvers out there. You just never know what you're going to find. 1896 Morgan silver dollar. Somewhat, you know, common date here. But, you know, little tiny bit errors could go a long way. You know, turning what could be rather like a $30, $35 coin into something that's a lot more than that. If we look right under Lady Liberty's eye, there is a strike through. So at one point there was probably, you know, some grease, debris, you know, a piece of wood, you know, something to that effect that was on the die before it struck the coin. So this one ended up selling for $68.95. That's actually a pretty good sale, considering that you can buy the coin in this condition, which is like a lower end mid-state coin, you know, for right around $35. So it's almost an easy 2x multiplier on this sale. Beautiful 1943 off-center Lincoln wheat set. Of course, these are popular because they're a one-year type composition during World War II. So any bit error you find on these are going to be quite popular. And this one is extraordinarily clean for it to be circulated. Has no visual rust at all on the coin. This one sold for $105.50 with 15 bids. We also have this 1942 D Lincoln wheat cent, and you notice a little bit of a weakness on the strike on the left side of the coin. This is actually a coin that was struck on a tapered planchet. So it's an end of strip. It was rolled very thin at the very end there, and that's why you don't have a full complete strike. Now the coin did weigh out less than what a traditional Lincoln cent would, which is 3.11. This one weighed in at 2.79 grams, and this one, I thought I'd let you know, Sold for $29.25 with 7 bids. Another ragged clip type of strike here on this 1940 Lincoln wheat set. We've seen these before. Pretty decent seller. This one happened to pick up $21.40 on eBay with 8 total bids. And woodies. Here's one woody for the day in what they call an improper alloy mix. So the tin or zinc that they added to the copper composition didn't quite mix too well, which leads to some pretty spectacular wood grating. This is a 1954 Philly. Nice tough date here. A lot of the wood grating you see on the obverse, it's great when they're on both sides. They're just a lot more attractive that way. This one sold for $15. So if you find these, don't toss them back because they've been selling really well here lately. Can't pick up a date here on this Lincoln wheat set, but it is a delamination. Probably at one point was a clamshell type of lamination, as you can see. Split right along the edge and probably was helped along at some point in the past. You could tell just a fold over of some of the material there right where it was broken. This particular one, nice sale here, $38.09 with 15 bids. We've seen these on Franklin half dollars. We've seen them on Kennedy's, Washington quarters, you name it. There's quite a few of them out there. Jefferson nickels, another big one. Buffalo nickels. Pretty cool one here. I can't say I've found one or have seen one of these before. 1959 D Jefferson nickel with a cud die break. If you look at the front of the coin, right at the truncation of Jefferson's bust, where Felix Schlag's initials usually sit. That's where the die broke. So as a result, all the metal flow during a strike would go into that empty area of the die, creating a raised blob anomaly that starts at the edge of the coin and goes into the design. This one here is sold for $28.99. Again, this is one I haven't personally seen before, but I'm just glad we're able to cover it for the first time here. Another cud die break, 1964 Lincoln Memorial set. Nice attractive one here too. Lots of mint red. You can see the cud over there at 7 o'clock on the obverse. This one, nice sale, $49. 13 bids. Cuds continue to impress the secondary market. Nice documented sale here. Not too many people are selling these for whatever reason. They're not particularly rare. I found a few of them myself. They call this the SJ die clip, or die chip, not the die clip, die chip on this 1954 S Lincoln wheat set. A nice, well-weathered coin here, but when you look up close at the date, you can see the die chip is formed like a letter J right next to the mint mark, so that's why they have the SJ die chip moniker attached to it. This one here is sold for $20.50 with 7 total bids. Again, if you find these, it doesn't hurt to put them aside, now how much they sell for. And, I'll take $20 all day long for these. Beautiful one here, a 1940S with a lot of stuff going on this Lincoln wheat set. You can see some of the radial die cracks on the obverse of the coin. Very, very weak strike. And then you look on the reverse, you also see a pre-cud or retained cud die break over there on the right side of the wheat stock, which will eventually turn into a full-blown cud once that piece of die falls out. So then let's see this one here. I think because of condition, this one did overperform a good deal. $31 on eBay with 18 bids. If this one was well-weathered, then you probably command about half of that amount of money. Retained cuds aren't nearly as popular as full-blown cuds, with good reason. It's just not as visually impressive when you look at them. 1944 D Washington quarter. This is a cool variety. I haven't seen one of these in quite a while. This is the double to die reverse number 1, or FS801, in the Cherry Picker's Guide. And this one, if you look at the close-up of the eagle's claws, doubled claws all the way across. So 2 claws with every toe, I guess. That's what you're looking at there. Usually they will have the doubling, as you can see there. This particular example sold, and it's a really nice BU coin too, $55 with 13 bids. Here's a 1970S Lincoln Memorial Cent, all right? We don't cover a lot of these because not a lot of people, A, are finding them, and B, they're not really selling them, for whatever reason. Not saying that people aren't, searching for them, because this is one of the premier, variety types out there in modern coins. This is the small date variety that you're going to be looking for here. Now, without looking at the close-up that we have coming up next here, you can see that Liberty is quite weak on there, and that's something that you're going to look for on these small dates. And that's what your small date looks like. Now, your big differentiator, if you look at this inner tail of the 9, on the small dates, they point directly east to the right, whereas on the large dates, they'll point downwards toward the mint mark. And you'll see that pretty clearly. If you look at a large date versus a small date, you'll see that difference. Aside from trying to figure out the leveling of the 7 and the 0 and all that stuff, which is another way of doing it. I just like using the inside of the 9 as the main focal point of diagnosing, this particular variety. So this one right here, surprisingly, very good value here. This one sold for $54.53 with 19 bids. So that's some pretty good money. You do come across these. You find maybe a couple of them in your next roll hunt. Yeah, they're highly liquid right now. People are looking for these. Another good variety here, 1960D. D over D, Repunched mint mark number 1. It's FS502 in the Cherry Picker's Guide. Look at the condition. It's not really anything to write home to mother about. It has its issues. There's a close-up of the mint mark. One of the strongest repunched mint marks that you will ever find out in the wild today. That secondary D mint mark is punched west of the primary on this one, and it's sold for $23.50. All right, I've personally found a few of these roll hunting, and I've done really well selling them for a good deal of money. Again, $23.50 on this one with 6 bids. All right, a rare one here in 1999, a Lincoln Memorial Cent that was double struck. So it was struck once, didn't quite eject out perfectly. It actually stayed where it was at, and somehow, some way, the collar malfunctioned, and it was off center when it struck a second time. So, yeah, kind of a scarce one here. And even though it's a copper-plated Zinkin, it is still highly collectible. This one sold for $159.98 with 49 bids. One of my favorite topics here, the 2000 piece Sacagawea dollar with the Wounded Eagle variety. This is affectionately referred to in the Cherry Picker's Guide as the FS901 variety. And this one's in okay shape. It does have some circulation wear. This manganese alloy that makes these coins gold, they have a certain way when they begin to wear, you have darker fields and surfaces that show where the wear is. It's a very easy tell on these. But if you've never seen one of these Wounded Eagles, they got the raised die gouge, kind of similar to the Speared Bison on the 2005D Bison nickels. So, pretty interesting one here. This one sold for $110. So the next time that you're out getting a drink out of a vending machine that pays back in these dollars, make sure you take a second look at them to ensure that you're not passing over one of these insanely valuable Wounded Eagle varieties. All right, a couple more remaining here, folks. How about this gem? 2001 P Roosevelt Dime Broad Strike. This thing, per the seller, is about the size of a nickel for a size comparison. How crazy is that? So with the redesign plans of this coin for next year for the semi-quincentennial, Roosevelt Dimes, they're starting to get a little bit more hobby love. It may just be a temporary thing, but yeah, I've noticed that people are paying more money for some pretty interesting Roosevelt Dime like varieties and errors. Things like this right here will not go unnoticed anymore. So with that being said, This one sold for $59.78. A very impressive coin. I like the look of this one. And the final coin of our PCMR, a nice quick one, right? We kept it around 20 minutes for this. 1886 Morgan silver dollar with a 70-degree counterclockwise rotated reverse. By the way, rotated die errors are actually quite common on Morgan and peace dollars. So make sure you're flipping over every coin. You just never know, where your next big windfall is going to come. This one is a pretty good one, for sure. Again, if you could show the pictures very clearly on things like this, then you'll have no problem selling them ungraded. Like this one obviously is ungraded. And it managed to reel in $343 at public auction on eBay with 31 total bids. So people were definitely not scared to bid this thing up because they wanted it. A little bit of a contact mark that looks like right on the date there from what I could see. But aside from that, it is a generally rather nice coin, to kind of end things off here on the PCMR for the day. All right, well, thank you guys again for tuning in. There's a little bit of fine print for you, the usual. I'm not going to, go through the whole rigmarole of re-explaining that. You guys are pretty intelligent folks. And it's going to go ahead and wrap things up for this edition of the PCMR. I'm your host, Sean, with Blue Ridge Silverhound. Thank you guys again for all your views and support. Again, we won't be live with a Whatnot show tomorrow only because of my current condition, but next week we'll be back at it again. So you guys have a great day. Keep on collecting, my friends, and I will see you on the next coin video. So long.